Think we are live. Hi everyone, welcome to another one of our LinkedIn live events. And today's topic is going to be getting out of survival mode in your career. Before we start, I will just quickly check if my internet is fine. And for those of you who are attending this for the very first time, what we do is that I explain to you a topic in depth, and you can ask me any questions that you want if you're attending this live. And if you're possibly watching this as a recording on YouTube, then you can ask any questions that you want in the YouTube comment section, or better yet, you can join any of my free coaching communities based on wherever you are in your journey. And you can just directly contact me there on WhatsApp. Okay, let me see. Okay, yes, I think the internet is fine. All right, so let's begin. Now, a question that I would like you to reflect on before I start, and you can pause this video if you're watching this as a recording, is that when I use the word survival mode in your career, what comes to you? Like, what is the instant visual that comes to you? What are some instant thoughts that come to you? What are the images or the words that flash in front of your eyes? Because what survival mode is something I'm going to tell you, but our tolerance of what we consider bad and what we consider good is different from the kind of life we have led, right? So for example, when I was going through a bit of a career crisis in my life, and honestly I think I've had many of them. The last one I had was just before I started my coaching business, wherein I was all set to go abroad, pursue my masters there in human resources. I already had a job here in India as well, and basically I had already planned out the next 5 years of my life, which were very pivotal in involved a lot of money, time, and energy from my side. And I was set to leave in a few months, and then that is when I was going through this phase where I realized that okay, whatever I have planned so far in my life, it's very different from the kind of life that I actually want. That the field that I've chosen is not aligned to me, the kind of life it will lead to is not aligned to me. So at that point of time, I understood what being in survival mode really means like. So if you ask me what survival mode means to me as a person, I will probably tell you that for me, survival mode in career is that I am waking up every single day doing the work that I don't want to do just to make money, and that I have no purpose and no motivation. I'm working for somebody else and I have no creative freedom. That is survival mode for me. However, there are many people who already are living a life like this, and for them, they still haven't hit that ceiling yet, right? For them, survival mode could be something completely different. It could be that we're struggling for money and that we don't have any food to eat, or that I don't have expenses to pay, whatever. So whatever the kind of life we live, our survival mode is defined according to that, and that is why we all have very different tolerance levels. The more is your ability to tolerate, the more the more time it will take for you to actually take quantum leaps, because you're willing to tolerate a lower quality of life. Now again, why we tolerate that, there are multiple reasons behind it. It's always unhealed childhood trauma, which if you are not aware of, you can always attend my boot camp on healing childhood trauma. And if you're specifically interested in overcoming your career blocks and you want to learn how to design a career path for myself, I recently did a training last week as well, called Unblock the Career Design Masterclass. It's an excellent training. It received a lot of good reviews from the participants who attended, so you can go and watch that too. So the level of tolerance that you have in your life, specifically in your career, since we're talking about that, it is going to define how much you are going to invite in your life, right? A lot of people think that if I'm tolerating a lot, it means I'm a hard worker, I'm resilient. That's not really true, right? When you tolerate low quality things in your life, what essentially happens is that you stay there, right? It doesn't make you resilient, it doesn't make you sacrificial, it doesn't make you a good person or a better person. It just makes you somebody who tolerates. And this is a very important distinction to realize. There are two types of problems that we solve in life, right? High quality problems or low quality problems. For example, a high quality problem is that I am working consistently hard towards something that will lead to a better future, versus I am consistently struggling in a job that I am scared to lose, right? And I am taking the risks to build a life that I desire, and I'm investing many time and energy into that, versus I am every single day battling with my money anxiety, my career anxiety, and I don't want to invest money in myself because I can be mentally strong. That's struggling, right? So it's very important to understand that there is a difference between struggling and growing. And the hard work that you think you do while you're struggling is not taking you anywhere, it's just struggle, right? The hard work that you do that is on the path of growth, that is coming from an aligned place, that is coming from a healed place, that takes you somewhere. And that is why not all hard work is same, right? That is why you must think that oh, some people in my life I know work so hard yet they are not getting where they want to be. I really wanted to see the quality of the hard work they're doing, with what feelings and thoughts they are doing it. Because somebody, let's say, who has a terrible relationship with their money, no matter how hard they work, they will always have a dearth of it. Whereas somebody who has a healthy relationship with their money will always be able to find an easier way to make it. Why? Because they don't look at money as safety and security. And that is the same logic that applies to your career success as well. So when your level of tolerance is very high towards your career, in the sense that you're willing to put up with a lot of shit in the name of hard work, right? Poor culture, uh, low paying jobs or low paying businesses, basically just struggling. When you're willing to put up with it, you will have more of it, right? It does not mean that you're resilient. It just means that you are willing to keep your standards lowered for a very long time. And I'm sorry if it sounds harsh, but that is the truth of it, right? Similarly, there is another kind of hard work, there is another kind of hustle wherein you're moving towards something greater, right? But the hustle is not from the outside, hustle is from the inside, right? Where you are consistently expanding your identity and going after what you want. That's a different kind of hard work, and you will know the difference. The latter kind of hard work will feel expansive, purposeful. The former kind of hard work, you know that you're playing small, you know that you're adjusting and sacrificing. That is not hard work, right? That does not take you towards growth. So, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because your survival mode could be something that could be different from mine, that could be different from other people. And that is why it is going to take you self awareness and self reflection, and honestly, complete honesty, for you to take accountability of where you are in your career. If you compare your situation with somebody else, you will always feel either better off or worse off. And that's not what the aim is. Okay, when you are working with me, or if you work in my energy in whatever capacity, that's not what I want for you. I don't want you to compare yourself. I want you to be honest about where you are against the goals that you have for your life. So, one of my aches towards something is forced gratitude. Like, I have seen people say that, like, let's say you're struggling in your career, and somebody tells you that, oh, look at this person, they don't even have a job, they don't even have two squares of meals to it, as if your problems don't matter. And that I find very stupid. That's not real gratitude. Real gratitude would come from a place that wherever I am in life, right, I will move, I will move past it, right? And I am grateful that I have the awareness. Gratitude is not that I am struggling, I'm not doing anything about the struggle. I will look at somebody else's life who's struggling even more, and I will try to feel better about it. That is not gratitude. That is escapism. You are trying to escape the reality of your life. Don't indulge in it. Okay, it does not lead to anywhere. It just leads to more and more problems in your life, and more struggle in your life. So wherever you are in your life, ask yourself that, am I truly happy with wherever I am? Is this something that I want to live? Is this the reality I really want to live for the rest of my life? If the answer is no, then the answer is no. You don't have to look at other people for anything, right? Not the ones who are above you, not the ones who are ahead of you, not the ones who are behind you. So you have to be completely honest about where you are in life, right? And the only parameter to measure it against is the kind of life that you want for yourself. Because just because other people are struggling more than you does not mean that you're doing better than them. Please understand that. And when I say better or worse, it is not a comparison. It is for you to understand that any kind of forced gratitude or any kind of forced anything does not mean anything. The only thing that matters is, what do you want in your life for yourself? And if you believe that you have that, then it does not matter even if somebody is doing uh, you know better than you mentally, financially, whatever. If you have what you want, you are the richest person, right? So forget who is doing what, right? Forget the forced gratitude, forget anything else. Ask yourself, where am I in my life, and what am I doing to get to where I want? And that is going to give you a deeper insight into whether you are stuck in survival mode or not. Now let's talk about what could survival mode actually look like. Like, if you had to recognize some signs of it. Again, this does not cover everything because survival mode for each one of us is different, but it covers a large part of things. Okay, give me one moment. All right. So, coming to what does survival mode actually look like? The first sign of survival mode is constant anxiety, right? Now, not the kind of anxiety where you may faint. I mean, that also counts. I'm talking about this general anxiety that you have throughout the day. Like you're always in a rush. You're always in this rush to get somewhere, to get something. There's always this sense of I have to do more, I have to do more. That it's there, right? When you have constant anxiety, what is happening is that your mind and your body is trying to solve for a problem that has not occurred yet, right? It is anticipating something wrong always, right? Which means that you are surviving, you are not living. Because what is survival? Survival is when we are trying to just get through the day, right? That is what survival is. And when you're constantly anxiety, when you're constantly living in anxiety, even though intellectually, logically you may not be surviving, like you have a good house, you have a good job, you are in a good relationship, you are doing fine in every sense of the word, but yet if there's always anxiety, it means that internally you are in survival mode, right? So that is one. Second is an actual external anxiety that you experience at workplace. So if you, whenever you go to work, you're always anxious, you're always waiting for something to fall apart, or you're always waiting that something is going to go wrong and I have to be prepared, that is again a sign that you're stuck in survival mode. Now, another distinction I want to make here is that something doesn't have to be externally horribly wrong for you to feel anxious, because anxiety is something that comes from you, right? It is the response that you have, and it may not necessarily be in relation to what is happening outside of you. So for example, let's say if I have um, a good work life, right? Everything around me is healthy, it's good. If I'm still struggling with my thoughts around what if everything goes wrong, what if one day, my business never works, what if this happens, that happens, that is my response to it, which means that even though my career is not putting me into survival mode, I am putting myself into it, I am putting myself into that anxiety. So that is also survival mode. Second is when you are always preparing for something to fall apart or everything to fall apart. Like there is always this fear that you're dealing with, that everything will be finished, everything will go bad, this will happen, that will happen. So you're constantly looking for cues in your environment for something to go bad. This can also make you hyper vigilant. It can give you the illusion that you're intuitive, but you're not intuitive. You are just picking up cues in the environment for negative things, right? You're just constantly scanning the environment for threats, right? People's expressions, anticipating something bad happening at work, with your colleagues. Like if let's say a colleague does not talk to you in the way that you want, you suddenly go into spiral. Oh my god, what is happening? Kya ho gaya? Why is somebody talking to me like this? So when this is the case, when you're always scanning, your environment for threat, that also signals that you are in survival mode. Next is that you are actually not yourself, right? Whenever you sit down to work or whenever you're thinking about your work, there's a personality shift that happens. For example, let's say you are somebody who in general is a level-headed person, or a calm person, or somebody who's not necessarily negative. But the moment you start working, or the moment you think about work, or the moment you enter your work mode, there's a flip in your personality. Like you become obsessive, you become negative, you become pessimistic, you start feeling like hopeless, or you start feeling basically an unnatural change in your behavior. Like for example, if I talk about myself, now I am somebody who is pretty logical. Like in general, when I'm dealing with things, be it in my personal life or my professional life, my first bent towards dealing with something is to understand the extent of it, understand the depth of it, and deal with it logically, right? Even though my emotions may be in surface, my approach towards solving it is always logical. Now that is my nature, right? That is how I have been. Specifically when I have well, specifically this is the kind of person I've grown into due to my inner work. Now if I sit down to work and my first response is always, oh my god, there's this anxiety, what to do next, what to do this, what to do that, this will fall apart, this will happen like that, or I become very emotional, or this or that, right? What is happening? I am not being myself, I'm being something else. For example, I'm not a people pleaser. Okay, that is something I'm not, I never have been. But if let's say suddenly I start doing that with my clients, I suddenly start doing that with, let's say, anybody I'm working with, then there's a shift in my behavior, right? I'm not being myself. I am adopting a different personality. Why? To cope with something, right? There is something that I believe exists, that I believe I have to, that I believe that I can only deal with if I have become something, I become something else, or I become like someone else. So I become a people pleaser, or I become this, I become that. Or for example, let's say if in general, I don't get angry quickly, I suddenly start getting angry at work. So when there's a shift in your personality, it again means that your body does not feel safe enough to be yourself, right? And that also signals survival mode, if not a full on survival mode, at least the start of it, or in the middle of it, where you're just not being yourself, right? Next is when you are in a phase in life, and this is something that I've heard from a lot of professionals, and the phase is, I am waiting to make enough money so that I can just quit the rat race, right? So basically, you feel like a hamster or a rat on a wheel. You're running and running and running, and you're waiting that बस एक दिन ऐसा हो जाए, in speaking in Hindi, एक दिन ऐसा हो जाए that I have enough money कि इतने पैसे हो that I don't have to do this. So basically, your entire career is a box of anxiety. You're looking like you're a rat looking at that cheese, right? That I can, if I could just get to cheese, I can stop. So you are in that phase. Just enough money, or enough this, enough that, and then I can finally quit whatever you are in right now, right? That is a very strong signal of being in survival mode, because for you, your sense of safety, security, whatever you've attached to the goal, right, is making you stay in this mood. And this is not real. This anxiety will not go away once you get that, because anxiety is your response. It is not what your environment is doing, it is your response to the environment, right? So when that is the case, when you are in that phase that I just, if I just have this amount of money, or if I just have this job, this position, then I will stop, this phase will not be there anymore. You're in survival mode, because you're not looking at your career from a place of a professional journey. You are looking at from a place of something to just end, like when you're waiting for the current phase you are in to just end, right? You're not enjoying the process, you're not in it for the process, you just want the end. You are in survival mode. Now I just want to make a small distinction here. It doesn't mean that there will not be moments in life where you will just have to prioritize your career and nothing else. There are moments in life like that, but those moments are not very long, like they're few weeks or few months long. But if you're stuck in a mode like this for years, right, then that is not a goal. That you're not building a career, you're trying to survive it, you're trying to survive a cycle you're stuck in. That's not a career. Okay, a career is not a job, a career is not a project, a career is not a competitive exam. A career is something that spans for 20-30 years. And if you're always just looking at the end goal, that बस जैसे तैसे मिल जाए, right? In Hindi we say कि बस कुछ भी करके वो मिल जाए. Then you are going to hate yourself and the entire journey. You will be impatient, you will lose your confidence, and you will lose yourself, right? So that is again a sign of survival mode. Next is when you have no purpose, no excitement, nothing towards your work. There's a sense of numbness. There's a sense of like you feel like a zombie. You feel like this one every day is just repeating, right? That is also a sign of survival mode. Like there is nothing that you look forward to in your work. You're just doing it for the sake of it. The next is when you are just passing by and doing the bare minimum. And this is more common in jobs than in business, because in business you can't do that because you will not be paid for it if you're just doing the bare minimum. If it's a setup business of your father, sure. But if it is something that you're creating on your own, it doesn't work like that. In a job, there is this phase, right, where it's called quiet quitting, right? If I'm not wrong, it basically means that you're mentally checked out. Like you're just doing the bare minimum so you can keep the job. That's it. Like you don't want to grow there, you don't want to make any effort there, you're not thinking about switching also, you're just skating by. You're again in survival mode. Why? Because you're just trying to survive it, right? See, survival mode doesn't always mean that I am breaking my bones or that I'm breaking my back while working. Survival mode is also means that I'm not even looking forward to growing, right? That thought is not coming in my mind only. That is also survival mode. Now let's talk about why do we enter survival mode. Before I do, I will just quickly check if we have any questions. Okay. No questions as such. Okay, for those who have, I've gotten a few DMs for the masterclass on Unblocked. It is in the feature section of my profile, and if you are not able to find it, I'm just going to put it in the comment section of the live event. And for those of you watching this as a recording, if you open my LinkedIn, you will find it both on my top mid page as well as on the feature section of my profile, so you can find it there. Okay, I've put it there. All right. I don't think we have any questions, so we'll just continue. Now, why do we enter the survival mode? The very first reason we enter survival mode is when the goals that we are going after are not aligned goals. So, what are aligned goals? Aligned goals are basically goals that coincide with what you want from life in terms of your financial ambition, your passion, the kind of life you want to live, and it coincides with your authentic self. Like, it is not something that forces you to become something that you're not. It's those are aligned goals. I've spoken about it in depth in the masterclass Unblocked. So you go check that out, and you're going to understand whatever I'm talking about today in much depth. Right? It's a fantastic class to not miss out on. Now, so unaligned goals are goals that do not coincide with everything that I've mentioned right now. Right? They may involve you becoming something else or someone else. They may involve you going after things that you don't want. They may involve um, you doing something for the sake of it, not something that you want to do. So some examples of unaligned goals are: first is borrowed goals, wherein your goals in your career is something that you've borrowed from somebody, your parents, your relatives, your friends, or growing up you saw that, oh, this uncle is doing this, he became so successful, so I will do that too. This friend did CA, so I will also do a CA. My father told me to become a doctor, so I will become a doctor. So your goals are borrowed. It is not coming from within you. Like you don't feel the calling key. This is coming from within. It is very borrowed from the feelings of other people. Like other people feel strongly about it, so you borrowed their feelings. It's not coming from within. Those are borrowed goals. It could also be that you tried to copy someone else's path because you thought that if they got money, fame, so if I do this I will also get it. um, or it is something that you had to do because you had no choice, because you felt pressure to do so, or you never really had any clarity. That's There is another factor, right, where you never really had any clarity towards what you wanted from life, so you just went along with whatever everybody was doing. Right, that's another factor of unaligned goals. Another is when you found your anchor in your goals because you yourself don't have it. So for example, some people in life, because again it's the same reason, unhealed childhood trauma. Some people in life, because of unhealed childhood trauma, do not really have an anchor for their life. Like they don't feel anchored, stable, safe, and secure within themselves. They need something to feel that. So people make anchors in different things in life. Some people will make it in their partner. Some people will make it in the validation from their friends. Some people, and very common, make it in their parents, validation from their parents. Some people find it in their jobs and money and career. So they stick to their career, they stick to their jobs, they become obsessive about it because there is nothing else they have actually thought about in their life. They have no passion, no hobbies, no deep relationship with anybody. They run after money because that is the only thing they know, or they run after or obsess about their career because that is the only thing they know. Right? They haven't really developed any other area in their life, and no, that does not make them ambitious. That does not make them, oh my god, this person is so focused. That makes them somebody who does not have any other areas of their life. Right? So when that is the case, then then it can also mean that you are, pursuing unaligned goals because there is nothing else that you are after. Next is when your goals are forced, which means that you're forcing yourself to want something even though you don't want to. For example, let's say you are in a job making a certain amount of money, and you see somebody else doing a business, and you want to force yourself to do a business because you think, oh, that's the right thing to do. So you keep on forcing yourself that you have to take an interest in it. Similarly, let's say you have outgrown your career path right now and you want to pursue something else, but you keep on forcing yourself that no, this is the stable thing to do, this is the right thing to do, my friends are doing, my relatives are doing, what will other people think? So you force yourself to go after goals that you know that you don't want to. And if you ask your authentic self, you will always get the right answer. You know, the answer towards pursuing a goal should either be a hell yes or it's a complete no. When you have to think, I'm not sure, it's a no. Okay? Like the answer should be hell yes, like I want to do this. If the answer is I'm not sure, then it's a no. Then you have to really look into why you are going after it. The next is when your career is not able to fulfill your lifestyle goals. Now, what do I mean by lifestyle goals? Now, lifestyle goals does not mean the vacations you want to go into or the house you want to buy. Lifestyle goal means what is the kind of life you imagine for yourself. For example, let's say you always wanted to build a career where you're working from home, you're working 30, 40 hours maximum a week, and you have the creative freedom to exercise in your work. but that is not the job you're into. You are working 10 hours every single day, 5 to 6 days a week. There is no creative freedom. The work culture is toxic, and you're not making the money that you want to make. You're not working from home. You have to travel every single day for 45 minutes. So this means that your job or whatever career path you are in does not matter. It could be a business also. It does not meet the life goals that you imagine for yourself. That can also cause that can also mean that you are stuck in unaligned goals, and that can also mean that you are in survival mode in your career, right? So here you have to really check in the kind of life I have always imagined for myself. I'm actually living it. For example, let's say you're a new parent. Now a new parent would like to spend time with their family, but let's say your job is so demanding, you have to work 10, 11 hours a day, right? So there's always guilt, there's always fear that I'm missing out on important moments in life. There's always this lingering feeling that I don't uh, you know know what am I doing with my life. That also puts you into survival mode in your career, right? And this is very internal. It does not always mean that your job is toxic. It just means that it is not fulfilling the goals that you've imagined for yourself, right? Next is when there is lack of self confidence and self belief in you regarding change, right? So when you don't believe in yourself that you can actually change your situation for whatever reason, you're stuck in there's a lot of fear and anxiety around money. There's a lot of fear and anxiety around change. You don't believe in yourself. You don't think you're good enough. You don't think you're smart enough, talented enough, whatever, right? So when these are the things that you are struggling with, then there is a very big chance that you will stay stuck in survival mode, right? And lack of self confidence and lack of self belief always comes from unhealed childhood trauma. Again, if you want to understand this deeper, you can attend the boot camp I have done on healing childhood trauma, as well as inside Unblocked as well. When that is the case, then you wait for something or someone to tell you that you're good enough, but that will never happen, because it has nothing to do with other people. It has to do with your own feelings, right? Change in your career happens not because you feel ready for it, because you make a decision that you deserve more. And when you're constantly feeling bad about yourself, when you constantly lack belief in yourself, that feeling will not come. So if you're waiting for a feeling to come to make a quantum leap in your career, I'm sorry, it will not come. It requires decision, right? And if you're unable to make a decision, that you need to do inner work to release these feelings, right? No amount of motivation and no amount of talking yourself out of does something. You need to release these feelings, because this is trauma, not a thought problem. Next is when your environment is putting you into survival mode. So maybe you have toxic colleagues, maybe the environment is really bad, like you have to work a lot, there's a lot of uncertainty in your environment, or maybe there is a recent change in your work, like you maybe switched a job, maybe there's a switch in project, maybe there's a switch in manager. Something has happened that has put you into survival mode, right? So that can also be the reason. The next, and often not talked about, is your own personal life. See, you don't change, like you don't enter into a new body when you go from your um, personal life to professional life. You're still the same person. So if you're struggling in your personal life, maybe things are not going good in your romantic relationship, or in your family, or with your kids, or with your in-laws, whatever, right? When that is the case, it is going to affect your professional life, because what tends to happen is that the needs that are not being met in your personal life, you will unconsciously put the burden of it in your professional life, and that will make you do things that you don't want to do, that will make you act in the way that you don't want to do. So check your personal life. If your personal life right now is not healthy, the pressure is going to be felt by your professional life. It's going to happen, like it's not even a question. So that can also put you into survival mode. Now let's talk about, in short, what can you do to come out of it. Now the very first thing is identify what is the source of you being in survival mode. So whatever I've spoken to you about so far, there could be some reasons that you could have related with, or there could be some things that came as an insight to you, came as a thought to you. Write it down, because this is the source of you being in survival mode, right? Second is, ask yourself, what is a small change I can do, small shift I can do to bring about a change in the source of my survival mode. So, for example, if your survival mode is because of change in project, change in manager, or let's say behavior of colleagues around you, what is a small shift can you do, right? Can you speak up for yourself? Can you ask for a change in your project? Can you ask for a change in your environment? Can you talk about your needs and demands more? If, let's say, the source of your excuse me, let's say the source of you being survival mode is your personal life. So again, You can't say that nothing will happen. Things have to change there. So ask yourself, what is a small shift I can make there? uh, do I have to stop people pleasing? Do I have to speak up? Do I have to make certain decisions that I don't want to make? Does it involve that I have to take help for it? What do I need to do to bring a small change there? Or let's say it's because of this, your source of survival mode is your lifestyle needs that are not being met. So can I maybe switch to a different job? Can I maybe take a less stressful job? Can I maybe create certain goals in my life for this year so that I can ultimately start meeting my lifestyle goals? Whatever is putting you into survival mode, identify and ask yourself, what is a very small step I can take to bring a change? Now, two things will happen as a result of this. One is you will see an instant shift in the way you are showing up at work, right? You will start feeling good, you will start feeling relaxed, you will start feeling a sliver of hope. This means that you double down on this problem and you work on solving it even more. Second is you will either not take any steps towards bettering yourself, right? This means that you are stuck in the frozen trauma response, or even if you try, you will give up very easily, right? Again, it is because of unhealed trauma. When that is the case, when latter is the case, when you're not even able to think about what is the shift I can make, what is the progress I can make, do one-on-one inner work. There is no other way around releasing your trauma from your body, right? If you keep on consuming information, it will make you feel good in your head that something is happening, but the only measure of progress is progress in real life. If you can't see things changing in your real life, it does not mean how much information you're consuming. Even if you're watching my live events, if change is not happening, it means that you haven't actually done the work that is supposed to be done. And that always signals that there are wounds that you don't know yet, there are patterns that you're not able to come out of. For that, take help. The help that you take now will save you years and years of your time. The help that you don't take right now will lead to a wastage of your time, money, and resources, right? And the next thing is a question that I want you to think about is, what is the single thought that is keeping me in survival mode right now? Wherever, whatever the source of your survival mode is, your personal life, your relationship with money, your relationship with other people, your environment. What is the single most thought I get every single time I think about bringing a change there? That will signal to what is keeping you stuck. That is a fear that is keeping you stuck, right? For example, you may feel that I don't have the capability, or you may feel that nothing will ever change, or you may feel that it is not possible for me. That is the starting point of your inner work, because that fear is what is convincing you to stay stuck here and not actually go after what you want, right? So start with small shifts, right? First is identify, start with small shifts, and see what is happening if you make the small shifts. If you're not able to make that also, do one-on-one inner work, right? Now I've spoken about in detail multiple angles of why you could be feeling stuck in your career. I've spoken about this inside Unblocked. So go watch that, educate yourself, start taking small steps, and I'm always here for help. So if you ever want to overcome the blocks that you're facing in your career, overcome anything in your professional personal life, you can always book a one-on-one session with me by DMing me coaching. And if you are interested in staying in my energy for an extended period of time, keep a lookout for the live events I do, and you can also join in my free coaching community called the Safe Space. For those of you who joined in today, thank you so much for showing up. And for those of you watching this as a recording, as you know, my LinkedIn DMs are always open. You can always reach out to me. Thank you so much, and bye bye.